Okay, people, we're back at it again. Manners, respect. Sometimes I tell you, certain time, you think say you have them things you down pat. Trust me, you don't. Because I did schedule this for 11 o'clock. But then, I closed the application and then I couldn't get back in. So I have to start and oh, people, I tell you say sometimes. Um, Sometimes when I don't have everything set out, doesn't work according to plan. But we have to continue. We got to continue. Do what we're doing. So, where we there? We're there. People. So it's March 8th. I don't know March I go by really fast, people. Like I tell you, if you not pay attention to time just pass you by and you're not aware. But I get today I get well I didn't get news, but somebody said Cocoa Tea pass off. Well, if you don't know Cocoa Tea is a famous Jamaican artist. Him sing a lot of conscious song. And the funny thing about it is last year them said the man pass off and the man never pass off. And that I try show you how everybody a doctor pronounce you box up. And that I try show you say I know everybody have love for you, It's not everybody have love for you. That's the honest truth. No matter what a person say. It don't mean nothing. It's some action. That's why I say I have to love life every day. Look on the positive side of life every day. So if it's really true say Cocoa Tea pass off, I just want send out a condolences to him parents and all of the people them way him impact. Cause them people there them people there, the good people them impact a massive, a massive amount of people. The very facts, them just a go about them life. Just like all of the people them want to highlight. All of them people that just live them life. Them want better for themselves, but them also want better for other people, not just for them family alone. And we see throughout history, some people just care about for them family alone. They don't care about anything else when it comes to society and improving society. That's why I say we have to look upon it differently. We can't look upon it like how them give us we look upon it. Because if we look upon it the way them give us we look upon it, we'll never see a betterment for we. We'll never have betterment. But all of these people, past, present, and future, always a fight for a betterment. Them always a look out and I say, there's better for us. Right? All of them people always I say, there's better for us. And them always a fight for that. Me understand what we worth, Many people don't. Some people don't care about what we worth. So this is why I say I want to highlight them things and show people them greatness. Because if you not show people them greatness and the only thing them are here are the worst. The worst, the worst, the worst. And one of the things I keep on saying, say we contribute to that too. We are one of the contributing factor to us not reaching our full potential. I'm say me a part of it too. But being part of it don't mean that you can't change it. And me I try to change it. I'm definitely trying to change it. And I try to change it by showing showing us how great we is and how great we was and how great we will be if we continue on the path of learning, educating, and looking out for each other. So people tell them me say every day me always I find something right about our past. And more time the past present itself in the present and I reflect the future, right? Just the fact say enough of the things that me I look upon and I say, wow, how the similarities between past, present, and future. But them say that the past is the future, and we just accept it and not understand why it's said. But the truth is, if we not change it, it not gonna change. And the only way we can change certain things is when we understand it and create solution. Me tell you, say one of our biggest problems is how we talk to each other. So I say respect are one of the things we're supposed to have all the time for each other. Respect, respect, respect. That's one of the solution. Own business, having our own business, supporting each other. Two, three. But me say when you look on it and listen to the people them talk, it's like they don't care. We ourselves don't care. So going forward is me have to understand me have to go highlight understand them things there for the next generation because at least the old generation did not come up with solution to a problem. Them did a create solution. Them did a look on we as team. But me say nowadays them people are so rich them can't escape, right? Them can't always escape from the situation. Because once them go to them house and then lock them gate, trust me. You know see them and you know hear from them. So anyways, people, one of the things that where them celebrate even to today's day, even to today's date, the people them still do the same thing them where them used to do in the past, right? So one of the things them always talk about is what? And talk about Juneteenth, right? So me always hear them talk about it, but the significance of it me never understand. Okay? So at least we're gonna get some information on Juneteenth. I'm gonna tell you say everything highlighted is for me to eventually do a part two, part three, or whatever, right? Because there's so much information out there. I don't mind doing this enough people come tell us I may learn to. I may understand some of the things that wasn't taught to us. So we'll proceed with Juneteenth. And again, this is from KHOU 11. Juneteenth 1865 to 2021. So you see people, past, present, future. As we proceed, people,
General Order Number 3, the Juneteenth Order.
The people of
General Order Number 3, the Juneteenth Order.
General Order number 3.
people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. And the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between an employer and hired labor.
You can imagine the burden lifted from these people, the men, the women, the children that knew that they were chattel, property, and now understanding that they were free. But the question that was lingering was, what did freedom look like?
The slaves built this country.
They had a sense of who they were. They very quickly built a sense of community.
To what degree have we actually achieved the absolute freedom that Juneteenth promised?
Ignoring these painful histories doesn't mean that they don't still influence us.
We stand on the shoulders of those that came before us, and we need to honor their memory by telling their story.
Juneteenth, 1865 to 2021.
Galveston, Texas, a place known for tourism and quick getaways. But it's the history which happened here that impacts us all today.
African slaves were brought here on ships in the 1800s. But even after the slave trade ended, slavery here did not.
It was 1865, June 19th, now known as Juneteenth, when Union soldiers arrived and told slaves they were free.
It came 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln announced slavery had ended in the United States.
And we should remember this important date, June 19, 1865, represents the evolution of our country to a more perfect union. We were not perfect in 1528, 1619, 1776, 1865, or even the day in 2021, but we're moving, hopefully, to a more perfect union.
Juneteenth is directly related to the history of the Civil War and the emancipation of enslaved people in the Confederacy. Juneteenth is important for Texas because that is when enslaved Texans learned they were free and that the Confederacy had fallen.
So we're standing in the 2200 block of the Strand Historic District in Galveston. This was the heart of the commercial district, and at one time
Was the largest city in Texas.
the largest enslaver also lived here in Galveston. They owned 7 plantations, 4 in Brazoria County, 2 in Matagorda County, and 1 in Fort Bend.
Texas was a safe haven for slavery. They did what they call the running of the slaves. That was basically moving their slaves to Texas because there was no Union presence in Texas.
When Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, he knew that that would not immediately end slavery, and it didn't. And the reason is fairly simple. The Confederate States of America had formed its own country. They elected their own president. Confederate states printed their own money, which is why the Confederacy and the United States went to war. The United States' goal at the beginning of the war was just to restore the Union. The first war goal was not to emancipate the enslaved population.
And there were all these myths and stories about what happened and why it took 2.5 years for the word to reach Texas. Plantation owners in Texas were well aware of the Emancipation Proclamation, but they ignored it. What they cared about was maintaining the agrarian economy in Texas, and that was solidly based on cotton. And to maintain that, they needed slave labor. General Gordon Granger.
The only labor they need, the only labor they need is slave labor, free labor, absolutely free labor. And I know them people that love free labor so much. I don't know why the people them love free labor so much. As we proceed, people.
Way to Texas. Most of the Texas authorities had a pretty good idea what he was coming to Texas to do. Granger was in Texas for about a month. He sent his troops.
There were white soldiers and black soldiers.
Plantation to plantation, making the announcement.
Those black soldiers are people who especially helped shift the Union war goals from a war to restore the Union into a war of emancipation. It was personal for them.
They went over to the old custom house on 20th Street to the courthouse square, from the courthouse square to the colored church on Broadway, which was Reedy Chapel.
Some of the dock workers were among the first to get the word, and so the celebrations began.
Give us a sense of what it must have been like for slaves on Juneteenth when they heard that message.
That was something that was almost like going to heaven.
The celebration, just to be so excited to taste that freedom.
The initial celebrations, there would be prayer services looking back at our journey in this country and what we had to endure in bondage. And the people, the people who never lived to see that day. I think it's inescapable not to remember those people. Transatlantic voyage, the Middle Passage, people jumping off ships to avoid the treatment that they would have to endure.
And old Marshall didn't tell you, it was free.
He didn't tell you that?
No, he didn't tell you. I think now they said it wait them 6 months out of that. 6 months. And turn them loose on the 19th of June. That's why you celebrate that day. Colored folks celebrate that day.
One of the quotes that I'm most fond of is from a former slave named Felix Haywood. Slavery could make you free, but it couldn't make you rich, because a lot of slaves thought that now that they were free, they would be rich, just like the white man.
You think about the elation.
That's funny. You just think so you're just gonna be rich, so? delusional. As we proceed, people, I don't know. I don't understand how just because you have more freedom that are gonna make you rich. As we proceed, people.
Trepidation of enslaved people not knowing what their future holds and being enslaved and bondage being lifted from their backs.
And there was one narrative about one slave who got the word, and his sister said, "Brother gave a whoop and ran away, and I never saw him again."
Was the South ready to free slaves? No, we know that.
Even though the order indicated the enslaved were free, if you look at the last sentence, it gives some instructions of what they can or cannot do.
The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere.
When you're told you're free, you're thinking that, oh, I can live my life. But it wasn't like that.
On one hand, you were free by name, but the actual reality of freedom, you were not fully experiencing it.
There were a lot of very frightened former slaves, and a lot of them stayed on the plantation.
They laid the bricks in the downtown area here where we stand on many of these buildings. Not only laid the bricks, but made the bricks.
Just off Galveston's bustling Broadway Street is Ashton Villa, built in 1859 by James Monroe Brown, a loyalist to the Confederacy, dubbed an honorary colonel. Brown was also a wealthy banker, architect, and mason who designed what's believed to be Texas' first all-brick house, a palace with bricks all laid by slaves.
Anywhere you read, they will tell you that, slaves did all the work for this. They had to follow what the contractor was either telling them or showing them in order to do it. And look at this place. It's beautiful.
All of the intricacies and the detail that still stand today. It's amazing.
1859, one of the few buildings that withstood the 1900 storm.
Ashton Villa was saved from demolition in 1970. The historic home, now an event space, is operated by the Galveston Historical Foundation and home to the island's annual Juneteenth celebration.
Okay, so it says Frederick Douglass, what to the American slave is your 4th of July? Or is it question to the American slave? What to you the American slave is 4th of July? Answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is constant victim. Frederick Douglass. So as we proceed, people. So Aston Villa is still exists today. See, past, present, and future.
They could leave the farm, they could leave the plantation, and they did, because so many emancipated people no longer wanted to work in agriculture because it reminded them of enslavement. For many people, the draw was labor, the opportunity to earn wages.
Working to pay off debt. The debts were never paid off. There were a lot of things that still kept the free people
Suppressed.
suppressed. And that's why a group of them ended up in your hometown in Houston. So they marched to Houston.
The Black population of Houston boomed. They began to build homes in the part of Houston known as Fourth Ward. Houston was divided into 6 different wards at the time. And so the land in that area of Fourth Ward happened to be very low and flood prone. It wasn't land that was coveted by white Houstonians at the time.
When you look at the bricks of Freedmanstown, that brick is a symbol of foundation. That brick was a symbol of hope. The brick was theirs. They made the brick, they formed the brick, shaped the brick, they laid the brick. They stood on the brick.
Iconic housing of Freedmanstown was the shotgun house. There was a door in the front and then a door in the back. And people would joke that if you shot a gun, the bullet would travel all the way through without hitting anything.
The legendary Jack Yates, this is the land where he lived, and right next door to him was his son, the printer Rutherford B.H. Yates. The first time I walked along these bricks, I was very emotional. This is where my people decided that they would survive. These are 8-pound bricks that were double baked. And the significance of these bricks is that it has that beautiful red color of the clay that was here. And the fact that they are still here today is a testament to their strength, a testament to their craft.
Past, present, and future. Me say the things them we used to do back then, them last, you know. They last because they were built to last. Me say nowadays things them so flimsy like the people them. What a big difference, people. What a big difference. I just think it's about continuity. We lost that. Enough things, you know, people will lose in between, you know. Wow, as we proceed, people.
And their skill.
Oh, these are original. I reside here in Freedmanstown. I was born in Freedmanstown, probably conceived in Freedmanstown. And this is a home that has been passed down through our family. I'm like the 5th generation. And the family operated a ice business and just drove through the community selling blocks of ice.
They did their best to gain property and to support their communities.
The wards in Houston functioned a little bit like small towns. 3rd Ward develops a Black community. 5th Ward develops one early. The Black community of 3rd Ward begins to develop around what we today call Emancipation Avenue, but that back then was Dowling Street, which was actually the name of a Confederate. Dowling is really the center of old Black 3rd Ward. And one of the reasons for that is the creation or the purchase of Emancipation Park. And it's the first public space owned by Black people in the state of Texas.
With newfound freedom came new challenges, including the fight to be seen as equal.
Freed men and women did more than survive. They built a legacy.
And it is right here, Emancipation Park,
in Houston's historic 3rd Ward.
Emancipation Park was always a place to celebrate.
2 Black church congregations fundraised to buy the park. For them, the memory of Juneteenth would have been very fresh. They were someone else's property less than a decade earlier.
I'm the great-great-granddaughter of Jack Yates. He was instrumental in purchasing Emancipation Park, where the free slaves celebrated Juneteenth.
One of the most famous families in Reconstruction era Houston were the Yates family.
He was free. However, his wife and children weren't. So he came to Texas and entered back into slavery so that he could be with his family.
They were brought here to continue to be slaves.
Once freedom came again, he knew what that tasted like. He knew what that felt like. So he took his family and moved to Houston to start a brand new life.
Jack Yates actually began helping and teaching and helping them to learn, because at that time, slaves weren't supposed to read or write.
People, I say, and in today's society where people talk about fully dons, we embrace something. How can we embrace something that was that me I try to show you? The things what we do to ourselves, the things that we do to each other. It was so important for we read then. How is it not so important for we read now?
A wage laborer as his day job, and at night preach near the Buffalo Bayou in Houston. And then gradually they were able to build their own church.
I'm a member of Antioch Missionary Baptist Church and have been all of my life. That was the first church that he started, but there were many other churches that he started, including Bethel in Houston.
It is that spirit, it is that zeal, it is that determination that he and others poured into the foundations when they built this church. So when you talk about World War I, our soldiers went off to fight. When they came home, Antioch was able to train and cross-train ex-veterans in masonry work, in carpentry work, and really help these ex-soldiers to find jobs and to provide homes for their families, education for their children. It was these very women from this very church who taught other women how to vote.
So many great people.
You see, jeez, people. So when you talk about soldiers come home from army, that's just like prisoners are come home from jail now. In people? That's why I said the woman used to be such an intricate part of it with society. Strong, loving, caring. Respect on our ladies, past, present, and future. I always know that our greatness should never be denied or disrespected. As we proceed, people, as we proceed.
So many great people have been here and have been inspiring and galvanizing the community.
So much great people have been here. There's so much great people who have been here. Inspiring, educating, teaching, loving. As we proceed, people.
When I was growing up in Houston, I knew the name Yates because it was the name of a high school, Jack Yates High School in 3rd Ward, the first Black school in Houston. For a while, had just been called Houston Colored High School. As the Black community spreads and grows in other parts of the city, you need more schools. So when a second high school is established in Houston in 3rd Ward, it's named after Jack Yates.
A massive mural in Galveston's tourist-heavy Strand district depicts the long journey to absolute equality.
Expand the narrative of Juneteenth to tell a more full story of our shared American history. The things that had been invisible are becoming visible, and the stories that have been hidden are being discovered.
Galveston Historical Foundation member and Hitchcock-born businessman Sam Collins made it his business to have Galveston's history on display. I met with him at the mural, an art installation that Sam wanted to use to paint a better picture of Juneteenth, giving it depth, dating it back to centuries before the emancipation of slaves. Artist and activist Reginald Adams brought the vision to life with detailed vignettes featuring historic figures.
And then he moves through the Middle Passage, the enslaved Africans being sold by other Africans. Harriet Tubman is an iconic.
Other Africans being sold by other Africans. People. So we bad too, you know. We do bad too, people. I'm never deny that, you know, because we continuously do bad. When you look on we backs up annually a year time 14, 15, we do bad to people. That's why when the lady I talk about evil and evil last night, me I say, look, evil doesn't have a color. Evil just have a practice. Evil doesn't have a color. It just have a practice. So that's why I say we mix up everything together, the words them. We call this, that, and that, this. All kind of pure confusion. But if you ask question, there is no confusion. We need to ask more question, understand more. So now I'm asking question, may I understand more? As we proceed, people.
Harriet Tubman is an iconic female image on the mural. Then you have Abraham Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation.
The soldiers have a very prominent place within this mural. There are more soldiers than anyone else here on the mural, it seems like.
So United States colored troops represent 75% of the Union forces that came into Texas. Nowhere in the history books when I was in elementary, junior high, high school, or even college, did anybody teach me that colored troops helped bring the message of freedom here.
Just beyond the mural and at the end of the same lot, side of the old Osterman building and where General Granger signed the orders and dispersed the troops to post them, is the Juneteenth historical marker from the Texas Historical Commission.
And I thought, how can that be? One of the most historic events in American history didn't have a subject marker.
Sam Collins spent 2 years fundraising and organizing efforts to secure one.
One of the things that I've worked to do is not to take away from what has already been told, but to add to it.
People, this man is wearing a blue suit. Why should I make this up when it's real? Man's wearing a blue suit, people. History, memory. I suggest you know go buy a blue shirt or a blue something. You hear me I say? Before the year done, and get something blue. If you remember our story, our history, our greatness. And that what we do. As we proceed.
This corner has now been transformed into an outdoor classroom. We're going to use technology to teach this history through augmented reality. Point their smartphone at the mural using the Uncover Everything app, and videos will pop up to expand the story so that they can learn more.
You see? People. So them can just click on something and the history pop up. Just like how you can click on any one of me me live them, and there's something that's gonna make you say, wow, as some want it, people. This is how I want it though, man. Cause me say, listen to what the man is doing. Sam Collins, his name is. So I'm telling you, some can all go dig up Sam Collins. He's a historian. Jeez, people. So much information in a one video. No, sir. Because that's how rich we is. And we have time to fight against. We really have time to fight against each other, people. And I ignore this. Imagine that. And that a poke. As we proceed, people.
Videos will pop up to expand the story so that they can learn more.
My girl Harriet and showing all the things that Black people have been going through and to be able to get the shackles off.
It all came together to create this beautiful mosaic of historian, artists, technology, visitors, tourists, people. All of that creates a beautiful picture of the expansion of knowledge, information, the history, and a lot of times they don't talk about that in the history classes. So we got to get them in the picture, not just him by himself. There we go.
His spirit and
People, and on that me I shall show you. Imagine if them all have the museum here at Jamaica set up like this. Yeah? The man is like, okay, one person now. Imagine one person in a one bad mood and going at this space here. How them feel about themselves when them see greatness right around them. That's why I say if them build up the community center, them when they can bring in the kids them and educate them upon themselves. Them have history class. I show them the greatness that's within them. Because that person is just like you. So if the people them great people that do the things where them do in the skin, where them do it in, why would you want to leave your skin? That's just a question. Why would you want to leave your skin? The answer might be you're a coward. That's one. You're a coward. Because when you look on the richness where you have, and you want to give up, what are you giving it up for? When you can just keep on building on what's built already. We just add on the next room on top of it. That's what they did. That's what they did with the school. The student them build on top of the college. So all we have to do is just open up them book and see them greatness, yeah. I tell you some more and build a diaspora city, I mean. Me need help. Because me ask AI, but you know AI is gonna be just technical. Like it, all of the information them like what we're gonna need for the infrastructure. And what do we want? If we want a industrial, we want a residential, what do we want? So we want a mixture because the city has to be self-reliant, right? So we have to have a post office, we have to have all of the necessary stuff them that's in, like say, a country. But it's within the city. So you need transportation to carry you around. People, create, it's already created, but I tell you say it's once it's created in your mind, it has to be taken out and put on paper so other people can see it. And I there's some there. We take it out of my mind and put it on paper. But as we proceed, again, somebody go here, so the feeling what them are gonna feel is amazement. At that what I want. I want people to feel amazement when they go there. Wow, wow, wow. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And at this message time I go through these things, this is what I'm saying. As we proceed, people,
His spirit and actions are one and the same, starting with the marker and now this mural.
Hopefully, individuals will wake up a desire for self-discovery and discovery of history that maybe was not taught in the classroom. So now they come to the outdoor classroom.
and that's what I want my channel to be, people. I want my school to be filled with you guys, right? And time when I come in at this school, yeah, right? When I have class, is that too much to ask? At that time, my goal, Right now, I'm telling some people, I am broke with the broke peoples, right? I'm poor with the poor people. But we're going somewhere. You hear me I say? And people, me love it, me love it, me love it. As we proceed,
Some of the early Juneteenth celebrations were marked by pageantry, flowers, and people riding in these very elaborate coach setups.
Regional and local Black newspapers celebrating the day. You'll see announcements about picnics that are related to the
but
holiday.
people, me telling you, say straight up, that's the same thing. We just, them fancy man, look on them carriage and same thing there. We celebrate like so we just a come out of slavery. That's true. We still a celebrate. We love entertainment. Jeez. As we proceed, people.
A lot of people for those celebrations dressed up in their Sunday best. They would just be joyful. There would be parties, church services, in a lot of the communities, whites didn't want to recognize those celebrations. If some of those former slaves had jobs, they couldn't get the day off to celebrate. A lot of the city officials said, well, you can't have your celebration in the city. And so that would push those celebrations out away from the city in rural settings, in pastures, meadows, groves, wherever. They went with the flow.
I guess my earliest memories of celebrating Juneteenth would be when I was a child. Juneteenth was always a big celebration in our community.
Eventually, you'll see the establishment of parades. We know in Houston we do have a couple of parades. In fact, Juneteenth, Queen, King.
Family get-togethers, community get-togethers. You would have barbecue, watermelon,
Ribs and hot sausage.
red soda pop. Those were the staples. You had to have all of that on Juneteenth. You must have that barbecue.
In recent years, Juneteenth celebrations continue to include parades and music, but most importantly, a focus on the food. And one restaurant that continues to provide Juneteenth meals, even amidst the pandemic, is Lucille's.
Feeding all the people they can, this fine dining Houston establishment, home to a culinary artist carrying on the family's legacy of African-American excellence in gastronomy.
Beautiful.
This Museum District restaurant,
African gastronomy. African gastronomy. And at that's one of the things them department them would I like for reaching, because I have certain books and certain I tell you something, I love to have my own restaurant and do them things that because I tell you say cooking is an art form. You have to love it to be good at it. African gastronomy. As we proceed,
this Museum District restaurant is Lucille's. It is where the past meets the present on a plate. The restaurant itself is named after owner and executive chef Chris Williams' great-grandmother, Lucille B. Smith.
Often noted as Texas's first African-American businesswoman, she created the first instant hot roll mix in the history of this country, which is a recipe that Pillsbury borrowed to create their empire. This is verified by the Chicago Tribune in 2014. She was the first national African-American food editor for Sepia magazine, which is now Ebony magazine. Her client list included everybody.
Wow. Wow. Wow, people, hold on there. Oh my goodness. As we proceed, people.
She created the first instant hot roll mix in
Chris Williams' great-grandmother, Lucille B. Smith.
Often noted as Texas's first African-American businesswoman. She created the first instant hot roll mix in the history of this country.
The first instant hot roll mix. Oh, people. Lucille B. Smith. Me have definitely have to go look she up now. We can't miss that, people. The first, so you know the instant mix like pancake mix and them something there. Well, I'm not tell you. We just walk around and create and invent them and just be amazing, eh? As we proceed, people.
Created the first instant hot roll mix in the history of this country, which is a recipe that Pillsbury borrowed to create their empire. This is verified by the Chicago Tribune in 2014. She was the first national African-American food editor for Sepia magazine, which is now Ebony magazine. Her client list
which is now Ebony magazine. Ebony magazine. Yeah, because you see, me used to read Ebony magazine like back in the days. It used to be like a sophisticated magazine for us, you know. Wow, as we proceed, we tell us that we're really in a school. Because this is so amazing. Sure. So sometimes when I learn them things, I may get too excited, you know, people. So calm down, settle down. But people learning all of this stuff is so amazing as we proceed.
Now, Ebony magazine. Her client list included everybody from LBJ to the Roosevelts, Martin Luther King, to Muhammad Ali, to Joe Louis, all points in between.
Chef Williams continues the family legacy, having hosted President Biden. But it is not just the powerful for whom he hosts or prepares food for.
So we provide service to all the historically Black neighborhoods, from Sunnyside to 3rd Ward to 5th Ward to Acres Home.
Having founded the nonprofit Lucille's 1913, the year his great-grandmother birthed her catering business, and also the same year marking the 50th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation.
At our peak, we were doing 1,800 meals a day.
So I had a pork shoulder that I braised for about 4 hours.
Allows them to play with a ton of different ingredients.
This Juneteenth, he'll prepare more meals.
The barbecue chicken, the beans.
On top of the already 250,000 meals served.
And that's what we're working on right now for the menu for today. Getting ready to feed the people of Houston.
Wow. Wow, people. As we proceed.
Delivering dignity and preserving history.
The restaurant does pay homage to her culinary freedom and creativity as a chef.
With fresh, elevated food.
It's exactly what we do over today at Lucille's. It's Southern cuisine with global influences. There you go.
The word Reconstruction sounds good, and it started out well-intentioned, but it didn't stay, quote-unquote, Reconstruction, did it?
No. When we think about the period of Reconstruction, particularly here in Texas, we always have to think about the turmoil around politics.
The Democratic Party was conservative. The Republican Party was liberal. 1870 15th Amendment is what makes Black men's right to vote constitutional. And this changes the political landscape of parts of the South that had large Black populations. Black men start voting other Black men into office. Some places had Black sheriffs. So this immediately changes the politics of the South. So the Ku Klux Klan arises as the violent wing of the Democratic Party.
We're familiar with the KKK, but there were a number of white vigilante groups that existed during this time that terrorized African Americans.
By the early 1900s, the Black community had already established itself with neighborhoods, businesses, and schools, but Blacks still weren't considered as equal. With segregation and Jim Crow laws, they were still being treated like second-class citizens.
Segregation laws restricted every public space where Southerners could possibly make contact. When we say Jim Crow law, we're referring to legal segregation. Boston creates segregation laws in order to separate Black and white passengers on city streetcars.
You hear what the sign say? You see, I mean, the sign, one of the sign them said, no dog, no Negro, no, is it Mexican? No dogs, no Negroes, no Mexicans. Oxide.
1840s. People in Boston started to refer to the Black section of streetcars as the Jim Crow section. They did that because Jim Crow referred to a popular minstrel figure. Early on, it was white performers, typically white men, who would blacken their faces using burnt cork, but Jim Crow was the most popular blackface minstrel character. So popular that many white people in the United States began to identify the name Jim Crow with Black people.
Here in Houston.
Huh? Them start identify the name Jim Crow to Black people, but they're the one doing it. So how? I said some of the things them still don't make no sense, you know. You guys are doing it. We get called so much name. We have so much name.
You really can't think about Jim Crow laws without thinking about the 24th Infantry, African American soldiers who found themselves here at Camp Logan and found themselves the victims of police brutality and Jim Crow laws and segregation.
Right, you're absolutely right. In the summer of 1917, the United States enters World War I. The U.S. military was still segregated. The military was constructing a training facility called Camp Logan.
So when these 700 Black soldiers show up in Houston, Jim Crow is alive and well. And you got to remember, it's a new thing. And these soldiers had fought in the Spanish-American War, had gone up San Juan Hill, had fought in the Philippines. They weren't used to being treated as second-class citizens.
It all came to a head that August when Houston police officers were accused of attacking and killing one of the soldiers. Black soldiers of Camp Logan then marched from what's now Memorial Park to the city of Houston.
This was a push against Jim Crow authority.
Mutiny and rioting ensued.
It was a strike against police brutality.
16 white people were killed, mostly civilians. 4 Black soldiers died. The deadly encounter led to the soldiers' court-martial, the largest murder trial in U.S. history.
I saw the photograph of the trial. That blew my mind. Here are these 63 Black soldiers surrounded by white soldiers with fixed bayonets on their rifles. And caption said the largest murder trial in American history. And I had never heard anything about this, nothing.
In the end, 19 soldiers were hanged and all but 8 of 118 soldiers charged were convicted for their part in the Houston riot of 1917.
force of southern cities would send certain police officers to patrol Black communities. Slave patrols in many parts of the South literally become police forces whose job it is to then police newly formed Black communities.
Plantations ultimately turned to prisons, with slave labor giving way to prison labor all across Texas, including Sugar Land.
This building is.
And it still hasn't changed. As we proceed, people.
80 years old. It was originally a prison and part of the Texas prison system.
It was an extension of the Central State Prison Farm. The big brick building known as 2 Camp opened in 1939.
It was a prison population of color, primarily African American, some Hispanic.
The inmates worked the fields of the state-run farm. An inmate recalled that upon arriving at 2 Camp in 1960, he was immediately ushered out into the fields to pick cotton. At the end of a grueling day, workers would return to the dormitory, where life was often just as hard.
They lived in very close quarters, actually in very hot conditions and very cold conditions.
Its occupants are mostly children now, but for 30 years, this structure housed inmates.
So this says, no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jail. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones. And that was by Nelson Mandela. People, I'm telling you, everywhere you go, prison is always prison. It's never a bed of rose. Quote Jacure. Which part in there now? Oh boy. Side note. Next story. As we proceed, people, because you see, it not change.
Did you know the Freedom Tree in Missouri City is where slaves at the Palmer Plantation were notified they were free? They were told they could continue working the land, but their only form of payment would be a share of their crop. The Freedom Tree is located along Misty Hollow Drive, that's between Glen Lakes and Lake Olympia Boulevards. Walter Moses Burton was a farmer, sheriff, and politician who served 4 terms in the Texas State Senate. Burton was born into slavery in North Carolina and brought to Texas when he was 21. After emancipation, he bought land in Fort Bend County and was eventually elected the first Black sheriff in the country.
Are you registered to vote?
No, I'm not. I have tried twice, and I was turned down both times. Lost my job.
You had Jim Crow laws, you had poll taxes, and slowly you see things that are going backwards.
So the first way you see a push against Black political organizing is through the Klan. Thousands of people would sometimes show up to watch a crowd of people lynch, burn, and mutilate, in some cases, Black bodies. The people who were lynched were usually people who stood up for themselves economically or politically. Self-styled so-called militias were using violence to subdue Black voters. By the 1890s, enough violent intimidation had happened that you have white Democrats returning to power in states across the former Confederacy. The fact that we're still struggling with attempts to disfranchise voters shows exactly why we have to look at segregation as this multi-pronged attack on equality.
Dr. Martin Luther King's second day of civil rights testing in Selma, Alabama started off smoothly enough. But when the would-be registrants and those who accompanied them arrived at the Dallas County Courthouse, it was a different story.
Segregation was labeled separate but equal, but was far from it. Religious leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Fred Shuttleworth, and Houston's Reverend Bill Lawson began to help in protest against it.
The movement spreads across the South. Students at Texas Southern University especially begin to boycott and then gain allies, in some cases from white students from nearby colleges.
13 of them, to be precise. On March 4th, 1960, they marched, but they went to the lunch counters at the wine gardens on Alameda, and they sat. And so they initiated the civil rights movement in Houston, Texas.
The support and mentorship of Reverend Lawson and other folks was especially significant because in some cases, the older generation sometimes agreed more with the strategies of the NAACP, who were using the...
those guys again. People don't know so NAACP did get caught with E. Du Bois again, and E. Du Bois was them people, those guys were the uppity or the rich black folks who they have a different agenda. But you see NAACP, whatever it's called, come up again. I'm telling you, said some of them things there, people, and it still exists today, And is it which one of them people is still associated with it? I think it's Reverend Sharper, I think it is. But again, people, we're gonna highlight them things here, right? But me just as say the CM people that are supposed to help with. As we proceed.
And using the law. Because it's important to remember that technically sit-ins are illegal.
They know that what they are doing could potentially put them in danger. They're thinking about the injustices that their parents have faced, that their relatives face. They're thinking about the injustice that they themselves are facing in a world that is supposed to be separate and equal, but is everything but equal. Well, historically, Black colleges and universities, their history is related to the fact that our nation was not ready for people of African descent to study with white Americans.
Prairie View A&M is a direct result of Juneteenth. Those individuals who heard that message that day, they went forth with the zeal and the fervor to realize what an education could do for emancipated Blacks. Most importantly, now you have individuals who could not read, who could not write, that came and got remedial lessons here and could go back out into their communities to be productive people.
I chose TSU because there was a sense of belonging that I felt when I walked on the campus. It felt like family. It felt like home. And it gave me a feeling of purpose and that I was destined to be here for a specific reason.
And we know that Prairie View produces productive people. And that's one of the mottos here at the school. And it's very much tied back to that same group, that first generation who came here, who studied.
I say productive people. Productive people go there. They don't produce productive people. They help productive people. Because first of all, for you, if you get up and go there, so you have to want it. And that's what I'm trying to show you. Them say zeal and the guts. That's why I'm loving this so much. You know, so one book, one page full already. One page me done full up already. The person who I talk right now is Dr. Marco Robinson, right? I'm telling you, I just one. You open one book and a pure greatness. You're finding it, pure great people. As we proceed, people, see March 4th, 1960, and right now we're in a March, right? As we proceed, people.
Studied, thrived, and sought to make their communities better.
And as a little girl, to me, the building, Hannah Hall, was colossal. Little did I know that one day I would have the opportunity to teach at this school. This institution has been
Okay,
a
so
beacon of light to
it's Texas Southern University. Texas Southern University. They're talking about. So it's TSU. And this lady's, she's beautiful too. And she's articulate, and she's a teacher at the school. As we proceed, people.
people in the community.
When it came to primary education, the Gregory Institute became the high school for Houston's Black children in the 1870s. At one point, it was the only high school for Black students. In 1871, Harris County had the largest number of Black students in school in Texas, with 734 males and 760 females. The Gregory School is now home to the African American Library.
That me like, you see them have an African American library, people. You hear me talk about? We need to have one thing, you know. We need to have something where we can go to and say, yeah, this is ours. I firmly believe in that. Betsy Ross Elementary. This is our next. Well, I'm telling you, it's like a pure amazing, this amazing. A pure amazing this and pure amazing that. Amazing over here, so amazing over there. So everybody, right, left, right, and center. Pure amazing people. As we proceed.
After years of fighting and debate, Betsy Ross Elementary became the first public school in Houston to integrate. The year, 1960. But even as the Houston School District began to eliminate segregation, there was pushback from white parents, as shown here in a 1970 New York Times article.
You know, it's really amazing how this area, this park, has blossomed and transformed in this community.
It is incredible when you think about the history of Emancipation Park. You know, there was a time when this was the only park that Blacks in Houston could come to.
And today we've seen people of all colors here.
All colors, all races, all religions, enjoying the city, enjoying the park together.
Yeah. A park for all.
A park for all.
Beautiful. This is so beautiful, people. Wow. You see, we make something for ourselves, right? And then come and enjoy it. That's what I say. As we proceed.
What do you think your great-grandfather, who purchased this property to create Emancipation Park, would think of what is happening on this site today?
I'm sure he probably never thought about would this be continued 100 years later, 150 years later. But I think he would be extremely proud to know that the citizens of Houston, Texas have continued to celebrate the Juneteenth.
Emancipation Park remains a pillar in the Black community, just as it did when it opened in 1872. From playgrounds, basketball courts, a theater, and the arts, it celebrates a rich history while educating the next generation. But getting that...
Hello, people. Educating the next generation. So you see the next generation? We got you. That is so perfect because you see this generation I don't last for money already, right? So the next generation, we got you. This Matella said, this is not just supposed to just go in vain. It's something important. Now we open up the book, them let's keep them open. As we proceed, people.
Education in schools has not been easy.
I think it's just a history that some people are still so uncomfortable talking about.
We always knew what Juneteenth was. The rest of the country did not. Juneteenth isn't taught in American history. Juneteenth isn't taught in our school, in our public school system.
I guess within the last 30 years that I've learned really about a lot about Juneteenth. Attending segregated schools, we just didn't have a lot of information about slavery, and if it was presented, it was presented in such a watered down way. We knew the significance of Galveston to Juneteenth, or the freeing of the slaves.
Juneteenth is so important, and it's funny, I didn't learn about it fully until I got to college, and at this HBCU that I learned about it.
As a former longtime educator, how important is that for students to be presented that information in their general education?
It's America's history. We hear the stories of immigrants coming to the United States. We hear about why they wanted to leave or why they want to be here. And everything that happens in the United States is the United States history.
All Americans need to understand when and how slaves were freed in the state of Texas.
I know that in my own class, when I'm teaching in the summer, I make sure that we do a focus on Juneteenth and we celebrate the day so that students are aware of the significance of the day and also of the significance of TSU in continuing the message of Juneteenth.
It's a huge problem not teaching youth about the history. When you go back and you say, this didn't happen, then a young person will be like, oh, so what's their problem? That never happened. So then you create more of a division between cultures.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like all we're saying, it's not happening. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. As we proceed. Okay, so this says education is the passport to the future. Well, except for the fully done. Yo, people, look, I want to want from me. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. This is what I do it for no. Next generation. Understand? Because it's so important for you to understand too. All of these great people did something for us to continue. We're supposed to build upon them legacy. Wow. As we proceed, people. Education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Malcolm X. I'm never do no Malcolm X yet, you know. I never do a Malcolm X highlight. But everybody else highlight Malcolm X. So when you're great, people just are gonna talk about you. That's why nobody not talk about me. As we proceed. All right, people. You see, this channel don't have no commercial, you know, because it's not monetary. Them not pay it. All right. This have 1.1 million views, right? And it have 20,000 likes. That may I try to show you. Not enough people like it for go in the algorithm. But me tell you that these are educational programs that nobody no want to stick them advertising on. Because me tell you that some of them advertisers, I know, you think they're not watching the content and see where we put out to put them name to yeah, we believe in equal rights and justice. No. Because the people them will buy them product, right? I go see, oh, film commercial upon this a show, and he must agree with this. This is how people mind think, That's why I'm say I just want to create my content for listening. It's not for to see my face or to see my big house and me no big house and me no. But me just say it's just for to listen to understand. As we proceed, people, because one time we're in a school, we have to be able to have class, and class of reasoning and understanding. As we proceed.
I think telling our story is very important. So if you only get one perspective all the time, you're just missing all those other shades of meaning, all those other perspectives.
Oh yeah. And that's exactly why I'm saying, why I'm highlighting everything, because everybody said this thing about all of these people, and time I look on some of them history, and I say, wait a minute, that's not what everybody's saying. And what everybody's saying is not what really is history. That's why I say, have to research, find the truth. Them people, I'm telling you, everybody when I bring on them, we are smarter than I am, right? Because them live them life, them have life experience. There's document, there's monuments, there's schools, there's a whole bunch of stuff created and highlight these people's greatness. And it's my pleasure for just highlight them in a positive sense. So that's why I have to thank them for them greatness. As we proceed.
From my mother writing her book, Island of Color, where Juneteenth started, is that she remembered and found a journal that her grandfather had kept. After he would say his prayers, he would write in this journal. He was writing about African American history going back to when he first came here in 1865. I think it's a treasure trove of information. Knowing
you see, even back in them days that them people that write. That's why writing is so important. When I hammer them, I can't hammer it in on no head, because on no head tough. It's a joke, people, because I'm not promoting no violence against women. Right? Me just say, even back in the days, and the man I write them story, I write them own story so people can understand what's going on. And we not keep track of ourselves, So I go keep track of it. We have beg somebody to keep track of our life. Okay, as we proceed.
I think provides a sense of being grounded, a sense of belonging. It is actually foundational to our entire country because of its history of slavery.
Even though things are better, but there's so much more work to do.
With the George Floyd protests, probably more Americans came together of all races and groups than have come together in this country in a long time. Really, since the Civil Rights Movement, more Americans came together.
The 2020 murder of Houston native George Floyd and the conviction of former Minneapolis police officer.
I'm gonna talk about that already. So this someone the brother they must look for pardon that brother, right? The story is like it's not. In terms of I don't really want the sensational, but just to say on this, they're looking to pardon that brother where box up George Floyd. Right? I don't know how much or Donald Trump if he might go agree to it or whatever. But me say the things them what them do, right? Nobody can stop them people from doing what they're doing. Nobody can stop these guys from doing what they're doing because they've been doing it forever. We just don't care about it and not paying no attention to it, So as we proceed, but just the fact that them a look for let out that brother here. And the fact that I'm still in a jail and nobody no box him up in a jail yet. That is like said, as we proceed, sir.
Conviction of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin led to global protests and reignited the conversation of police reform.
You saw white, you saw Asian, you saw Hispanic, along with black, screaming at the top of their voices that Black lives do matter.
This bill is a bill that will speak to the hearts and minds of those who have been harmed by wrong kind of policing standards. And quickly, it will end racial profiling. It will provide training for the 18,000 police departments. It will ensure that there is a standard for excessive force, no more. A duty to...
Okay, and even this with them lawyer, them just like 10 police officers, not police officers, there were guards in the prison where them, you want to see how them do the black youth. It doesn't matter where this a black youth I do. There's no way them supposed to do them things here with them body cam. The whole works, you know. But I say, you see, these things are not highlighted because these things, right? It's been going on forever. But without policies, I tell you, oh, they can write policies and then can do this and then do that. Policies need to be in place. Things need to change. But if we now focus on them things there, entertainment. If it's not sensationalism, if it's not the things that will just last for 2 minutes, and at that, I try to show you it's onto something else. That's why I say that's not what I want to be about. I want to hang out with the smart people, then I try to change it from what it is to what it's supposed to be. As we proceed.
That there is a standard for excessive force, no more. A duty to intervene.
The House of Representatives passed the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act in June of 2020. But as of June 2021, it has not passed the Senate.
Okay, all right, you see? So maybe this is why them people can do them things that they do a deal. Because it not pass. Them write it and then push it to a point. I'm going to tell you, so the people that are in power, if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. Who cares? It doesn't matter to them. None of them would ever get treated like that. Not by them, and especially not by us. So why the hell should they put it through? When them brother here, I go stop, get them kicks, get them hard on from doing them things. You know, things that them enjoy them things there. What this sign said, no dogs, no Negroes, and no Mexicans. As we proceed. All of them places a commercial supposed to be. A commercial supposed to be all of them places there with them. But I tell you, nobody don't put the commercial in there. Nobody wants to be associated. What me say? Because the people who do not believe in equal rights and justice is not gonna promote equal rights and justice. Enough people come out, all race, all different culture come out to promote equal rights and justice. Them come out, enough of them come out because everybody else are come out, so they don't want to be the only one stand by side. But when it goes to certain things, the laws, these are things that are policies. This is money I can write, go in an office and write one letter and say, oh, all of you people are all pardoned. All of you people can come into the country. People are telling us, if you don't see them things here, you know, it's because you guys don't care about nothing. And you probably rich already, have millions of dollars sit down and you can escape. And you guys have generational wealth, so Funo Pitney is fine. But trust me, the minute Funo Pitney cross the line and go in a freeway line, them are going to get treated same way. Why? Because them look just like a we. So enough we don't understand certain things, you know. That's why I say, why entertainers have to be the ones who we are look up to. How can entertainers help us when entertainers don't write policies? Them can get people to vote, but them not get people to vote in the right way. Them a get people to vote in the entertaining way. Which means the people them where them have vote for now have nothing to do with policies and stuff like those. At them things I me a look upon, you know. At them things I me a start to understand, you know. Because when me I listen, I said I've been listening for years and years. And it's very few people talk about the things we're supposed to talk about. So since me start delete one and two of them things that the algorithm start giving me so much information. And it's right there. It's not like me have to walk 2 miles in a snow to find this information. It's just the people them who are supposed to be giving us this information are giving us the fake information. That's why I say enough people have an agenda. And it's not us. As we proceed.
Do you remember when Juneteenth became a state holiday in Texas?
Yes, under the direction of State Representative Al Edwards. He worked very hard to get it to become a state holiday.
I'm so delighted to be in Galveston again. I'm overwhelmed at you young people who are willing to help us make Juneteenth a national holiday.
May 31st, 2021, 94-year-old Opal Lee, joined by a crowd with the Juneteenth flag in tow.
Yo, and this a lady I look like so she gonna knock me out in a 2 round to box foot until 92. Stop it. Look at it where them people are got you and them people are still strong and kicking. Healthy like a what? Eh? I walk on her own 2 feet. And that the woman there in the bank I talk about how I think I sit down too long. As we proceed, people, I'm telling you, this is our rich story.
Her part to push for federal recognition of the historic day.
But I'm going to make this 2.5 mile trek. I'm going to keep on walking. I'm going to keep on talking to Juneteenth, a national holiday.
Yeah! And this is how she articulate. You see me? You see me? You know what I mean? Excuse me? The difference that we used to be until we become this. And it's okay to be this and forget that. On almost say mad.
Affectionately known as Fort Worth's grandmother of Juneteenth. She goes across the country every year, walking.
You walked my shoes off last time.
And bringing awareness to the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation.
I'm wanting people to understand that it's just not a festival. There's so many more components to it.
Juneteenth is recognized on the state level in almost every state.
We took 1,500,000 signatures to Congress back in September, and we were so sure that we were on our way.
But the push to make it a federal holiday continues.
I just haven't given up.
You see me I talk about? These people can write anything they want with a snitch of a... Eh? And people can do anything, executive order, this, that. I don't like say them can't do it. But them have to admit something. Them have to admit something. Until them people are box up, them people are not admit. There's no admittance. That's why this a 92-year-old lady is still a push on. Meanwhile, enough away. Tap up the scream, tap up the scream. Yeah. Now I'm find which part I'm supposed to do. I can't keep everything what I have. Right across the board. I can't keep what I have. Because it not worth nothing. Me and AI good over here, so. Because AI I know who we are. At least AI I learn about we. Like, I don't like say AI I don't know who we is already, you know. But now me I push us in the algorithm. If you say, see we are we this. No matter what you say, and I might not accept it, but we're not going away. And we'll continue be unlimited. You hear me, AI? I tell you something there, you know. But you know, say I true that, right? As we proceed.
I just know it's about that time now that we're going to have Juneteenth a national holiday.
This is also the location of the first documented citywide celebration of emancipation that took place in Galveston. Over 800 people started a march at the old Galveston courthouse, and they marched here to the Colored Church on Broadway, Reed Chapel AME Church.
In 2019, U.S. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee and U.S. Senator John Cornyn authored a bill for a federal study of the Emancipation Trail. It is a proposed 51-mile route from
Jesus. Them are going to do a study. These people are going to spend millions of dollars doing a study. My goodness. So instead of no make Juneteenth a federal holiday, we no rather spend millions of dollars a study. Instead of not ask this lady is still alive. Why don't you guys pay her all that money and she will explain to Uno? But me say when people don't care about you, you know, you can't force them to care, you know. And we have to care enough to make a difference. Next generation, you know, hear me. As we proceed, people.
a bill for a federal study of the Emancipation Trail. It is a proposed 51-mile route from Galveston to Houston, marking the journey of Black families sharing the news of freedom. And it is based on research by Naomi Mitchell-Carrier.
It will be a heritage tourism attraction with sites along the way where people can stop and learn the history of those sites, the stories behind them.
I would like to welcome everybody to the oldest Black Baptist church in the state of Texas.
Next steps for becoming a trail includes public input for the various locations, but the COVID-19 pandemic put a hold on it.
It is amazing, the history here in our backyard, and it's history you can experience anytime.
From Galveston. And this is not in our backyard, it's in our front yard. It's in the front of our brain. That's where we're supposed to put it. In the front of our brain. Because me always hear about Juneteenth, and what Juneteenth mean. Now me understand. And why them people are fight so much to make it a federal holiday. But I'm telling you, the things that's important to us is not always important to everybody else. Look how much millions of signing them get. Over 1 million, and it's supposed to be I don't know if it's 500,000 or something like that for change, something like that. But a million and something, and still the people them are supposed to change it. People then go research the root. As we proceed, people.
To Emancipation Park, your journey starts now.
It's more than a hashtag. It's more than you just posting something on social media to recognize it, whether it be volunteering at a local Black organization or just reading about Black culture and Black history. It's important to equip yourself with those resources to make sure that we're all coming together as one people.
My ancestors decided that they were going to build institutions, learned institutions, they were going to build religious institutions where we could worship, and they was going to provide a means for their family, no matter how tethered, no matter how abused.
We have to tell the story. If we forget our history, then our future is not a future at all. It belongs to someone else.
All right. And again, I have to explain this over. This is why it's so important for me to actually go through them things and feel them things and myself. Me not just come put it out there now, because I'm telling you before when I did do my documentary, them tape them I never know say those tape is gonna be so important to me now that I don't have them. But just getting this information out there and put it in the algorithm, right? So 1 and 2 people can listen to it, because it's not sensationalism, it's understandingism. It's betterment of us and me. Because I cannot go through them things and still be a scumbag, to put it mildly. Me have to learn and me have to grow too. And me have to understand myself. Enough of these things is stuff I always wonder about. But now me wonder about it and I put it together and I understand and I share it. Good morning, good afternoon, have a nice day. If you have nothing good to share, you can always share a smile. So these things are smiles I'm sharing. I mean, I go through the sequences of everything. So I live the 12 colors and I share the 12 colors. It's blue year. I remember all of the good people that may always take care of me. I'd be so disappointed if me never do good according to how them show me good and treat me good. And the 1 and 2 people that ever did me wrong or try to do me wrong, nothing good never come out of them, you know. Me never have to send karma for them once. But karma always catch up to them. But now me I send out karma for all of the people that I decide to say them I go continue doing what them I do to hurt other people with no consequences. Karma is coming for you. Me say that. I know that. Before, anytime I leave a workplace, me always tell people, say, you see them people there? Do not call me and tell me when karma reach them. Because me know say karma go reach them, but people always call me and tell me, guess what happened? I'm telling them, say, don't call. Oh, no, listen. I tell you guys, don't call me when karma reach them, because the things what them do to me, them do to other people. The people that hurt people, right? It's not a one-off thing. It's their practice. So when karma catch up to them, what am I supposed to say? Sorry? I'm saying, well, you made karma. We can't sorry for everybody and everything. And just wanna say, oh, may I pray. Oh, they are pray for the people that will rob you. Everybody will do me wrong. Me tell us I send karma for owner because of that to no deserve. You guys are not supposed to hurt anybody. The lady yesterday talked about wicked people, but wicked people don't have a color. Wicked people is just wicked. Evil people is just evil. You can't put a color to evil. So some things me say it's so convoluted how we think. You can't love me or hurt me. That are the number one rule. Me telling you already the number one rule. You can't hurt me and tell me say you love me. I'm telling you some I have experience of that already. Then me realize that a person can't love you or hurt you. There's no way them are gonna love you and hurt you. These things me have to learn and understand. These things me have to learn and me have to understand. These things me have to learn and me have to understand. And sometimes when you learn certain things, it's not easy. But you have to learn. You must learn. Past, present, and future, no people. It doesn't change unless we change it. Right through history, the people that did care enough, them care enough to change it. And they never change it just for themselves, and change it for everybody around them. So if you want it just to be the way it is, don't stop nobody from try changing it. Just accept it for where it is and live your life according to how you want to live it. Because I know everybody want to live your life. Many people want a better life. As we proceed, people, as we proceed, you know me say, people, it no matter what them say or what they do, they can't stop you. It no matter what the critic them say, all they are is just a bunch of critics. They're definitely not crucial conflict. They're just critics. People, me say me love this. What me say? As we proceed. uh, manners, respect, people. Always manners, respect. I can't leave them out, because the two of them join together. Even though them teachers say if we split it up. You hear me, I say? I'm out.